So we're going to have a look at, first of all, what is a workflow. So some of you may already know that, but we'll cover essentially what a workflow is and how it works. Then we'll have a look at some industry statistics as well. Have a look at potentially the impacts of having no email sort of automation, so no workflows, what the pitfalls are as well. Take a look at some examples of communications. Have a look at what the solution looks like, and then we'll share a couple of sort of accessplanit hints and tips in terms of best practice as well. So I'm going to hand over to Emily, who's going to talk you through workflows.
Thank you. So before we actually go on to what a workflow is, we just kind of wanted to make it clear that this is a general session about automated communication tools, but we think it's probably good that for those of you that don't know how we use that and what our automated communication tool is, that we give you an idea of that. So we like to look at workflows like they're an engine. So basically our system, for those of you that don't know, is made up of different tables of different data. For some of you, it's tens of thousands, of different bits of information. So workflows are constantly looking at this to look for a change, to see if it's suitable to then send an email based on that. So workflows can be as simple as you like or as complex as you like. They can do really, really easy, simple stuff, or as we'll go into, they can be a little bit more complex, a bit more in depth. So the first part of it is, you'll see here, the simplest of workflows. So a delegate makes a booking, an email sent. Simple as that, just a booking confirmation to tell them what they're booked onto. So that's the simplest, rawest form you can have. But then what we're going to move on to here is making it a little bit more detailed. So we're just going to add a little more features. So in this second example, a booking's made, but an email is only going to send if it relates to a specific course. So for example, you've got a workflow set up, and to do this, you add a couple of rules to say, I don't know, a first aid at work course, it's only going to send for people booked onto that course. So that's how we can start to make it a little bit more in depth, so it doesn't just send to everybody, we can concentrate it to the people we actually want to receive that communication. And the third and final part, to make it even more in depth, are the extra features. So there are a few different things, and we'll go over those in the best practice tips later on. But in our example here, I've got down, so somebody makes a booking, they fit the first part of the engine here. They then go into the second part, so it's on a first aid at work course, it's a specific concentrated pool of people, and that email sends. However, what we also want to do in this case is add a reminder. So using the same workflow, we will add a second communication to send a week after that as a reminder. So that's just an example of how you can layer it up to go from something really quick, really easy, to something a little bit more detailed. So what I'd quite like to do here is, I've given you the answer. What I'd like to do here, I was going to ask you to just raise your hands for me if you would say that 50% of your working day is spent dealing with emails, manual emails, yeah? So, here you'll see, we've looked at the training industry survey, and we've discovered that 80% of administrators, as you can see here, say that replying to emails, or just dealing with emails in general, takes up most of their day. So we've looked at that, and just that's huge. It's absolutely huge, because I think a lot of people feel that they could be doing other stuff. There's other things that they can be doing, and if you can automate that, perfect. So what I'm going to look at next is we just want to look at how it impacts you if you don't have email automation. So there's a few things that we've got down as the biggest factors. So if you don't use any kind of email automation, as I've just previously touched on, one of the big things is that manually emailing takes priority over other tasks that you could be doing as a business. So you might be missing out on crucial training or other just general business growth activities that you could be doing instead of just every day replying to emails constantly. One of the really big things, and you will all have heard of the four-letter word GDPR, I am sure, is you could send missing information in an email, or it could be incorrect. Now, these things boil down to human error. We're all human. We make, mistakes from time to time. But one of the biggest things here is if you're sending manual emails day in, day out, and you're trying to get it done quickly to move on to the next thing, we've probably all done it, maybe sent a text to the wrong person. You could end up sending the email to the wrong person, which could be a DPA breach. So there can be some quite big consequences of this. Another big one is inconsistent communication. So again, everybody's different, we're all human. Having that bit of difference in your personality is a good thing in your team, obviously, because I think it helps to build your customer relationships. But I think when you're trying to grow a brand and show your brand to people, it needs to be consistent. And if everybody is maybe using slightly just different words for things, or they might be just using different phrasing or terminology, it doesn't always tie into the overall brand that you're trying to show people. So something that we were thinking of the other day is that if you think of Naming No Names, a big internet shopping brand, emails from these places, they always look the same. So if you've ordered something online and you get a confirmation email, you know that that's the company that's come from. Not just because of the signature or, or the address, but because it looks the same and it's consistent. Another thing is reduction in productivity. So I think we can all be honest, when you do the same thing all the time, it can get a little boring. So you want to have that time to spice it up a little, do some other, different tasks in your working day. And spending all day doing the same thing, just manually emailing constantly, when there's other things you could be doing, it could have, lower productivity results. So overall, human error is additional work. As I've said, we're all human, people make mistakes, but that does mean that you have to then kind of rectify that and do other things to fix it, which takes more time. So we're just going to go through a example here. This is Jane. She's not very happy. She has made a booking through Company X, and she's expecting a booking confirmation just to let her know that she is on this course on this time. Now, everything in this day and age is instant. If somebody sends you a message on Facebook Messenger, for example, you'll probably reply pretty quickly. So you expect a booking confirmation immediately. I would. I think everybody here probably would too. But in this scenario, it's been about 20 minutes and she's not received anything. So she's a little bit worried. So she gives our admin team a call and speaks to our admin, Harriet. He takes the call and she realises that she didn't send that manual email. She forgot to do it. It just was dropped off the radar. So she quickly fires an email out to Jane. So the email's received, brilliant. But what she realises is that it's got a few mistakes in. So she's missed a couple of things out and she's not quite sure where she's supposed to be and what she's supposed to be doing. So she then calls the administrator again. So as you can see, all of this is creating extra work that just doesn't need to be done. So what I'm going to do, before I pass you back over to Lou, is I'm going to show you an example of this email. So this is the email that Jane's received. Now, if you just take a moment to have a look at that, there's a few things here that, in a rush, Harriet's been typing out to get it out quickly. It's made a few mistakes, so we'll just quickly go over those. So the biggest thing, she sent it to me. She's not sent it to Jane. Just been maybe talking to me in the office and just got a little bit confused, sent it to the wrong person. You'll notice that she's advised that she's going to send the joining instructions, which has a little spelling error, and they're also not in the email. She could potentially, put the wrong name to somebody, call her Janet by accident. And as you can see, she's not put the start time of the course. So these are all things, there's a lot of things in here. It's probably a little bit of a dramatic example, but just in a haste, just trying to send a really quick email, these things happen. So what I'd like to do is pass you over to Louise, and then we're going to go over the, what you can do by using automatic communications, and how this can all be avoided.
Okay, so what does the solution look like with using workflow? So as Emily says, it's an automated communication. You can pull all this information from the system using your merge fields, etc., and the potential for human error is pretty much eliminated, near enough. which then gives you more time to focus on important tasks. So if we think back to Matt's presentation this morning where he was making reference to sort of employee resource and that concern there, you've got more time to then spend on your business growth activities, to spend on your reporting, to spend on those potentially more productive activities. There's obviously going to be a reduction in your errors as well, and overall your productivity is going to be increased. Every admin team as well, every member of the admin team will have full visibility of the communications that have gone from the system. So there's no waiting for someone to come back into the office to check their inbox, to check what's been sent. Everyone can see that and potentially resend that email as well. So if you're thinking about brand consistency as well, the same message, the same communication, the same format, the same style is going out at the same time. And you're potentially relying less on having your own templates. Like we have seen admin teams as well where they've had templates. When booking confirmations come in, it gets copied, it gets pasted, and then this is manipulated, and that's where potentially your errors start to come in as well. And so your workflows, your templates are there, and they just send automatically from the system. So essentially, you're streamlining your administration in many respects, which saves you time. And perhaps most importantly, which is I suppose, relevant for today and the sun and the heat, that workflows don't go on holiday. So you're not relying on having that resource in the office all the time as well to then send those confirmations. They're automatic from the system, and communications go out in a timely manner, and you're not waiting for them to be sent, and delegates then aren't waiting for that information, that confirmation to be sent. Okay, so we'll revisit our delegate, Jane. She's happy now because she's got everything she wanted. So compared to the previous email we received, you can see it's gone to the right person, she's got everything attached, it's got the course name, the start date, the end date, all the information she needs is there, so she's now confident to attend the course. She's happy, and she's got that good first impression as well from the company. So lastly, we've got some best practice tips in terms of how you can use workflows as well. So first of all, they can be used to send certificates. So as soon as you change your status of your delegate, that certificate can be sent automatically from the system. You can also use your workflows to send surveys as well. And I suppose another tip is you can send the survey, send the reminders for the surveys as well, and then wait for that survey submission to then trigger another workflow to send your certificate. So if you're thinking about gathering feedback in that way as well, that's a possibility using workflows. You can use workflows to send reminders, so you can send them by email, and you can also use workflows to send SMS reminders as well. And perhaps most importantly, and this is something I know Jenna touched on yesterday, we've now launched the workflows tasks and notes. So you've got that availability to create a task and a note on a workflow as well, which again can reduce the number of times admin also have to then create a task and a note as well, which further saves you some time. So that brings us to the end of our session.